Didn't work out,
just,
did it?
I don't really know how to do it either, to be honest. So not that.
Right, there we go.
Yeah.
Right, should have it now, Ross.
Awesome. Right, okay. You guys all see that?
Yeah.
Integrity show. Okay, so tonight's session, this is brilliant. I love the way these conversations come around, because I get a message from Dan saying, what are you talking about? And I always try to talk about stuff that's relevant to the groups that I'm working with or clients that I'm dealing with. And something that's come up recently has been journaling's been one of the big things we've been doing recently. And we've been calling some of our guys out, guys and girls in the groups, on their bullshit in a nice way. And it's a bit of an integrity show. So when I say this to you guys, I want you to think about how's it all looking. So just kind of like bit of a hand gesture from everybody in the group. That is, life is absolutely banging. That is 5s and 6s, and then anything below there out of 10 is like, give me a thumbs down. So just on hand signals then, how's it all looking for you guys right now? Mark's a low. Becky's yeah. Gav's giving himself a hard time. Jenny's in a good place. Joe, yeah, you're good, Joe. Sorry, who else have we got? Yeah, Ash and Dan. Cool. Right, okay. And the reason I asked that question is because what we just need to get into a habit of is just being a bit honest with ourselves. And the reason I call it an integrity show is because it's, what's the story? Talking about the narrative. What's the story that we're telling ourselves? Are we doing really well? Well, I'll tell myself I'm doing really well, and then I'm doing really well. Or am I taking the piss? Am I pretending that I'm doing well? Or am I avoiding the obvious? You know, am I recording the correct stats? Am I looking at the right information? Am I getting a sort of blurred perspective of what's going on? So for today's session, I'm going to talk to you about what I like to call Condor moments. Now, does anybody remember the Condor adverts? Now, this is an age thing, so I'm pretty old. But anyone remember the
Don't even know what it is.
Condor adverts? Mark does.
Vaguely remember them, but like
cigars and smoking tobacco. And basically, you'd have these like ridiculous adverts. Yeah, a bit like the Hamlet. And a Condor moment was a stop and a pause. Like I was looking at some of the adverts and I couldn't share them with you because they're so bad. And the way they talk about smoking is horrendous. It's like it's the best thing ever. But basically, the Condor moment was I'm going to have my cigar, I'm going to take in the surroundings, and I'm going to pass judgment, or I'm going to make a decision based on these moments. Now, going through training with the Marines, if you had a Condor moment, you were stopping and you were taking in your environment. So today, I'm going to talk about what is a Condor moment.
Living in the present.
Pardon?
I said living in the present.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really good point. So we'll get into that as well. So we're going to understand what a Condor moment is, why it's really important, how to implement them, and when to implement in your life. That's going to be kind of the outcomes. And you guys are going to feed back to me some things you might already be doing, or things that you might want to concentrate on a little bit more moving forward. And we're going to talk about the big thing you want to take away from this is the why. You know, what information am I going to take from this, and that how does that inform my decisions moving forward? So like at the beginning when I asked you guys how's it all going, depending on what you look at, it'll either be great or it'll be shit. So it's about bringing it back around to make sure that we're looking at the right stuff. Okay, so any ideas then from you guys what a Condor moment might look like for you currently?
That's my interpretation of it. I say just living in the present.
Yep, living in the present. Anybody else?
My memories of the Hamlet ones where you're sitting where the car's trashed and you're just smoking a Hamlet saying, well, at least you're still living.
Fuck it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what we don't, so that's my fault because I've prompted it with the advert. Let's not get too hung up on the adverts, but the idea around the Condor moment was that you'd stop and take in what was happening. That's basically what it is. So thinking about that then, and your life right now, do you have any moments, and this could be professional or personal or just life, you know, try not to differentiate too much between the pair of them. Do you have any moments where you just stop and take stuff in? Whether it's you take stock, whether it's you hit KPIs, whether it's you have conversations with people to see what's going on. Do we have any of that stuff in play? If you do, just shout out.
I do, but then I stop and then I do it again. Rather than doing it on a regular basis, I do it intermittently.
Okay, so maybe you do it and then realize it's good, but then you forget about it and then pick up later on. Yeah.
Balance, isn't it? Like everything.
Yeah. Any specific things that people do? Anybody know that on a Monday morning they check? I don't know how many followers they've got on Facebook, or they check their KPIs for how many clients they've spoken to on a Wednesday of the 3rd week of the month.
So I guess that's probably where my Thursday afternoons come in, where I review. I spend 4 hours just working and reviewing KPIs that I've just learned about, really, and looking at them. But I'm quite critical of myself, so I'm probably maybe a bit too extreme and probably beat myself up a little bit too much. So I'm constantly looking at myself and what I need to be doing. But I probably go to maybe a bit of an extreme.
Okay, and it's finding that balance between, and again, we will always default to the bad and give ourselves a hard time. And I've talked about this on the call lots of times. We write down on a bit of paper all the shit that we've got done in the last week or month, and our name's at the top, and we're like, oh my God, all I can see is all the shit I didn't get done. You take your name on the top off it and put someone else's, you're like, oh my God, these guys had such an amazing week. Look how much shit they got done. But because it's our name, we default to the giving ourselves a hard time. So don't worry, everyone does that. But yeah, that would be a good example, Jenny. That would be a great example of just taking stock. So that's taking stock of business stuff. So KPIs, yep. You know, what's worked, what's not, what can I change? That's a good example. Anybody else do anything? Maybe not in work or in work?
I do the same on my social media accounts, YouTube, Facebook. Have a look at them every morning. Look at some of the KPIs, what's happening, how many views I'm getting, so on.
Okay, that's a good example. Good example. Anyone do anything not at work, not to do with their business?
I suppose my PT, me and my PT review.
Yeah, really good. Excellent. That's a great one. Yeah, fitness is always a good one to review. Becky's sitting nice and quiet now, so I'm going to ask her.
I tend to review stuff when I'm feeling overwhelmed, so it's a reactive thing.
Yeah, which is very common, Becky, and we all do that. It's like shit gets bad, and then we go, oh God, I need to work out why shit went bad. In fact, I think it might have been on, I don't know if it was on this call, or I was speaking with a client last week at some point. We were talking about something. They were like, oh yeah, I review stuff like once a year. And they were talking about how they got into stuff once a year. And off the back of that, that would then inform their next year. And I just said, but what happens if you've had a really shit year and you actually wasted 12 months of having a bad year? You could have actually reviewed it after 6 months and made some changes, or reviewed it after 2 months and made some changes, rather than letting 12 months go by and being like, I could have changed this 11 and a half months ago. So yeah, they're all really good examples. We usually do it when we're overwhelmed and shit's got bad, because our body does that quite naturally. When I'm training really, really hard, I used to get sick every January, February time, because I'd overtrain in the winter. The change of temperature, it'd be wet outside, it'd be horrible, and I'd get sick. And basically my body would go, look, I've been trying to tell you for the last 4 weeks to dial it back, but you've not been listening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in bed for the next 4 days. You're going to feel horrendous, and then maybe you'll listen to me moving forward. Touch wood, I've not been sick in January or February for the last 4 years, because I'm able to see little red flags earlier, because I take time to have these Condor moments. So they're not just business related. Now, the good thing is, if you do them in your business, you are fully capable of doing them in your personal life as well. Okay, and vice versa. So does anybody check in? How do you know that your husband or your wife's not mad at you? Or your kids still love you as much as you think they do? Who checks in with them? Do you guys check in with them anytime? I'm just checking. Some of you guys might want to check in with them.
I check in with my kids every morning.
Yeah, good. What does that look like?
Get them out of bed, basically get them their breakfast, drive one to school, to the bus to get school.
You can't get out of the car until you tell me you love me. Right, okay, you can go.
Basically, basically find out what they're doing that day, and then same to school and then back.
So you show an interest. Show an interest, a genuine interest. Awesome. Anybody suddenly panicking that they need to check in with their husband or wife?
A little bit.
No,
That's
look,
the beauty of not having one.
This isn't to catch anyone out, right, make anyone feel bad, because we all do this. But it's just an example of, you know, where you can have those Condor moments where we just stop and take our environment in. But that's why, and I was consulting in a business today, and I said to the people I was working with, I said, in the nicest way possible, I don't give a shit about who you work for. My job here is to make sure you're in the best place. So if you're in the best place, the company that we're doing this work for will get the best version of you. That's it. So like for you guys, it's not to make you feel bad. It's not to try and catch you out. We're all in this. We all have this. But it's just having those moments where you go, yeah, well, I do maybe need to check in on some things that I've not necessarily intentionally neglected, because we're all nice people by default. Humans are nice people by default, okay? You need to remember that. There are more nice people in the world than bad people. We just get distracted, okay? And this goes for everything that happens in life. Okay, so why do we think then, based on the information I've just shared, why do we think it's important to have these Condor moments? Or these moments where we take in the surroundings or take in what's happening?
Like I say, it's just to check where we are and what we need to do if things aren't where we need them to be.
So it'll inform decision making then? You know, you'll make decisions based on the information you've got?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can stop things going wrong before they do.
Stop things going wrong before they do. Or if they've started to go wrong, you can sort of minimize the damage. So that's a really, really good one. And I'll talk about that later on, how you can do that really well and sort of where the terms that I use come from. Any others?
Probably also to stop necessarily thinking that things are bad if they're not.
100%. 100%.
I looked at something today thinking that it was really shit and realized that actually it was nothing like as bad as I thought it was, but I've been giving myself a really hard time about it.
Yeah, and again, there's a few things there. And by the way, we're all guilty of this. Our ego says everyone should love my shit. They should wake up in the morning and be searching for me on Instagram to find my stuff I've got to tell them. In the nicest way possible, no one cares. And I mean that in a nice way, but no one does. The other thing is that you're absolutely right. We should be checking in on the good stuff, because we live in a society, a negative bias. You know, we get annoyed at the smallest things. If we don't have instant gratification, we get annoyed. You know, because I get pissed off if I order something on Amazon, I've got to wait till tomorrow morning for my Prime delivery. I'm annoyed at that. Like, so if I've got to wait a couple of months for some success for my business, I'm pissed off. Okay. But actually, when you check in and you have these moments, these Condor moments, you can put it all in perspective. All right. These are really, really good answers. Anybody else got anything there? No? Cool. Right. So these are some of the things that I like to think about when I'm talking about this stuff. Okay. So they inform your decision making. So anytime you stop and take in the environment and take in what's going on, whether you journal, whether you meditate, whether you have a conversation, whatever's then been brought to the front of your mind, then informs your decision making moving forward. Now, again, that can be both negative and positive. So we're always going to concentrate on the positive action that we can take, and also notice the little red flags. So we increase level of self-awareness. So if we
should have made that flag, you should have made that flag red on that slide, Ross.
I'm sorry, Dan. Do you want me to stop?
Yeah, could you just call it quits at
that? So yeah, so the red flags, what are they? Are you able to see them? What do they mean? Can you sort of see where potentially there's going to be triggers moving forward? You know, well, that's going to happen on Tuesday. I always get pissed off when it happens on Tuesday. Right, what can I do to set myself up to have a better day on Tuesday? Little things like this. Confidence builder. Okay, so Gav, you were talking about you'd looked at you were giving yourself a hard time and saying it's something was shit, and actually it was never as bad as you thought it was. But again, we live in a bit of a negative bias, and if we don't share it with anybody else, we will always default to the bad. What our brains are very good at is having one piece of information here, another piece of information over there, and just filling that gap in the middle with whatever shit we like. You know, someone might have said, oh, that's a good post. Our brain over here, which is the batshit crazy brain, has gone, what do they mean by that? What do they mean it was a good post? And they just try and do this. All we do is we pull it apart. We just fill that gap in the middle with whatever's going on in our brains. So it's really important that we always think about the stuff that's positive, and we default to that when we're moving forward. So yeah, really good confidence builder. That should say best. Apologies, that's a spelling mistake. I'm terrible. It creates the best opportunity to be successful. So these things all lined up will then allow you the greatest opportunity to be successful. I've talked about it before. We prime ourselves for success. We set ourselves up to be successful. because we're putting the work in, we're taking the time to do the stock check. We're doing the KPIs. So if you do these for your business, great. Do them in your personal life. If you do them in your personal life, do them in your business life. They're completely transferable. How you do them will be slightly different, but not as a big different as you think. Okay, it is measurable, both sides. You measure it in money when it comes to business and leads and hours and all this stuff. From a personal life, you'll be able to measure what success looks like, whether it's interaction with your children, your partner, whether it's holidays away, whatever it might look like. There will be measurables there that you can start to record. But when are we measuring them and how are we measuring them? That's the big thing we want to look at. All right. Any feedback or questions or anything there? No? Anything they're not sure about? Okay. So, right. So any ideas then of what these Condor moments might look like?
How
so we're not
how you have improved in certain areas.
Okay, so that would be, yeah, that would be something you would look to identify. Yeah, that's right. That's something that once you've taken the time to do, that's something you would look at. But can you give me an example of a moment where you'd take the time, or when you might take the time, or what that might look like? You're absolutely right, Mark, but the bit just before that, what might prompt that?
Basically just taking time to, whatever it is you're looking at, just actually sit back, take the time to look at something closer in a realistic way, rather than beating yourself up saying this is good or this is bad. Actually just look at the general.
Yeah, and again, all good answers, but the bit that's missing from it is the bit just before it. So for example, Becky said that a lot of the time she will do that stuff, but it will be reactive when she's it's all got a bit too much for her. Okay, she would then, so using that example, it all get a bit too much for me, I will then do the stuff that you've just talked about, Mark. So what you've mentioned there is right. What could it look like before then? When could you guys start to allocate some time, energy, and resources to checking in? What might that look like? I'm not talking about what you do. I'm talking about what you could do.
Set time aside to do it.
Set time aside to do it. I like that.
Walk the dogs, fresh
Okay.
air.
When do you walk the dog? When do you walk the dogs, Joe?
First thing in the morning and about 5 o'clock in the evening.
How do you find your clarity first thing in the morning?
Well, yeah, really good. Yeah, really good.
So there's something around that. So I talked about this in the last one. There's something around being at your most authentic and sort of clearest first thing in the morning, because you've not had any time to have your mindset influenced by the world around you. You've not turned your phone
golden
on.
hour, don't they?
Yeah. Hour of power, I call it in my house. But yeah, absolutely. And if you've not turned your phone on, you've not turned the news on, nothing, you've literally just taken it for what it is, and you've not had any nightmares that night, you're out there and you're in fresh air, and all you are is present. I get it when I'm in the cold water, you're forced to be present, but because you've not read the news or anything, clarity is high there. So yeah, perfect example to do that. Really, really good. Any other ideas? Stuff that I've talked about.
Especially when you're having like a shit week or whatever, in terms of like your sales or your appointments, that triggers.
So Dan, how many shit weeks have you had?
Oh, countless.
Absolutely. So instead of waiting for the shit week, what could you do?
Pre-plan to make sure that you don't have a shit week. Think about it in advance. To
100%. So it's we're all gonna have shit weeks. We're all gonna have shit days. What we want to do is have them fewer and the time in between them be longer, because we're all gonna have them. That's how we appreciate the good days, because we can compare them against the shit days. So again, personal and business here. So what you can do is go, yeah, I'm gonna set myself up. I'm gonna preempt this stuff, because what might happen is if I've not checked in for 3 or 4 weeks or a month, I might overthink this and it's a really shit 4 weeks. But actually, if I check in every other day or once a day or once a week, the changes I have to make are smaller. So in my mind, how shit I feel it is smaller, essentially, because I've not had 4 weeks for it to compound to a massive pile of shit. After 1 week, it was just a small pile of shit. After 4 weeks, it's got massive and I can't deal with that stuff. Okay, so you see how if you leave it longer, it becomes a harder thing to deal with. These are all really, really good answers, by the way. So a few things I'm going to talk about now. And again, there'll be different versions of how you guys will do this. Take a knee moments. Has everyone heard me talk about take a knee moments? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Because 5 and 20s.
5 and 20s. You know this shit, don't you?
It takes me back to the military days, isn't it? The 5 and 20s.
Literally, I was talking to a bootnet this morning, and I said this to him. And what I'd done was I was describing all of the things he needed to do, and I went, "Does this sound familiar?" And he was like, "Nope." And as soon as I said 5 and 20s, he was like, "Oh my god!" It just completely resonated with him. So basically, 5 and 20s, guys. A take a knee moment is you're on patrol, you're out, and somebody says stop for whatever reason, you don't know why, and you stop and you take a knee. Now, if you're a bootnet, you've got a really, really big burden on your back. If you're in the army, you're probably just going to carry your weapon and a hat. All right. So you stop, you take a knee, you get down on one knee. And what you do is you've got to then take in your environment. So your fives are what's 5 meters around you? Is there anything that's an immediate threat to me right here as I'm on my knee? Okay. There's nothing there, nothing I need to worry about. Cool. Then you extend it out to 20 meters. Is there anything that looks out of place? Is there anything that that looks a bit weird over there? That doesn't look right. Something that just could potentially trip you up when you step off again. Now, how this translates into just regular society is when you take a knee, your 5, so your 5 meters might be first thing in the morning. I've just journaled. I'm going to plan my day. What have I got coming up today that could be potentially a stumbling block? Right, the kids are getting picked up after school. We've got an after school club. I've got a call at 6. I've then got training, and my wife's going to be late home from work. Right, okay, we need to quickly work out how to solve that problem. Right, I can do something right now that will solve that problem. Brilliant. Or I've got a lunchtime call, and I need to work out when I'm going to get food because I'm training tonight. Okay, I need to think about I'm going to have to eat a little bit later. I might have to have breakfast a little bit earlier so I can fit in my stuff. So I'm starting to think bigger picture, but I'm only concentrating on the stuff that's in front of me for maybe that day. And I may even push it out to tomorrow or Wednesday. Now your 20s is what's coming down the road? Well, I've got a bill to pay at the end of the month, a mortgage bill, or I've got to close on 4 mortgages at the end of the month to hit my target. Okay, what could be the snagging problems? Right, this is going to happen. This might happen, so I have to be ready for that. There's going to be a charge coming in, and they said they might drop the interest rates. So I need to be aware of all this stuff. I'm just making up. I don't know how you guys talk, but I'm just using some examples. These are all things that you might have to think about. Okay. Now, worst case scenario is you don't think of any of these, and all you do is you then reactively try and solve these problems as and when they happen. Now, what will happen is you'll do it well a couple of times, and you'll build your confidence up, and oh, I'm pretty good. I can fight fires. You know, just throw it at me. I'll solve it. And then shit goes wrong, and then shit goes wrong again. And it goes again, and it spirals out of control. And you're like, fucking the day, the week, the month has just gone to rats. All because you just didn't take some time to map out what it looks like. Now, this doesn't have to be a big, huge exercise. It might just be simply the first thing I do in the morning is I look at my calendar for the day and go, right, what does the day look like? Cool, nothing to worry about, crack on. Or it might be a Sunday night. So what we do with all our clients is Sunday night, we tell all of our guys to plan the week. Spend 10, 20 minutes planning the week, wherever it looks. The longer you can spend, the better. But plan your week out. What does it look like? What are the big things that you're thinking about? What's a potential drama? What's a good thing that I need to remind myself of? What can I map out today that's going to make Wednesday's meeting easier to do? And all of a sudden, it starts to inform your decisions moving forward. Does that make sense, guys? So for you then, thinking at home, thinking in the business, what could that look like for you guys?
In the morning, plan what you're going to do that day, plan where you need to be by the end of the week, say on a Monday, and then work a plan for that.
Okay, that's a nice idea. I like that. Any others?
Yeah, for me, it's probably the same for most guys. It's making sure I've got calls booked in, and if I haven't, then doing something about it to make sure that I have, so it doesn't end up being a shit month.
Yeah. So you've taken in the information, you've understand what they're, and it's then informing your decision making. So you think back to what I was saying at the beginning about kind of the reasons why you do it. It informs your decision making, helps the process go smoother because you're preempting this stuff. Yeah. Basically, you're just trying to get ahead of the ball.
Preempting is the word.
Yeah, but what will always happen is life gets in the way. Life gets in the way, and that's cool. it's not a case of if you drop the ball, it's when you drop the ball. And I talk about when the ball gets dropped, the proverbial ball, you can either watch it roll away and imagine it's a snowball and it's rolling away, and snowballs as they roll get bigger and heavier and they're harder to pick up. So the longer you watch that ball roll away, so you miss a habit or you miss a good thing for 1 day, for 2 days, for 5 days, for 2 weeks, a month, all of a sudden trying to pick a habit up after a month of not doing it is a lot harder. Okay, talk to anybody who's tried to quit smoking. Talk to anybody who's been on a diet or tried to do an exercise regime.
A gym, not going to the gym.
Not going to the gym. And what happens is our brain goes, this is easy. I can go back. I can tell you now, in the first month after lockdown, kind of like we came out of lockdown, the big one, and 5-a-side football pitches were open, I knew 3 guys who were around my age, and Dan, I don't think you were one of them, who ruptured their Achilles tendon playing 5-a-side football because they'd done fuck all for the last 8 months, and then 5-a-side was open. Their brain goes, oh, I know how to do this. And they go to 5-a-side and they think they're Pele. For the younger people, they thought they were Stevie Gerrard or some other really good football player. All right. They thought they were Pele, and they took a big long step, tried to slide tackle somebody and ruptured Achilles tendons, tore calves, broken ankles, the lot, all within the first month, because their brain goes, oh, I remember how to do this. But what they don't remember is they've not done anything for 8 months. So trying to get back to where you were 8 months ago is so hard. Okay. So it's not worrying about if it's going to happen. It's worrying about when it happens, recognizing as soon as possible that it's happened, and then pick the ball back up. That's what your 5 and 20s do. I recognize it. There's a good opportunity there that I'm probably going to have a cigarette because I'm going out with my mates and they all smoke. Well, what can you do to stop doing that? Don't, work out what you can put in place to make sure you don't have that cigarette. Or there's a good chance I'm going to miss that call this afternoon because I'll get distracted by the new Netflix series. Well, what are you going to do? Okay. And you can start to preempt this stuff and it helps you out. So does anybody else have any examples of what that might look like for them then? Like things you could actually go and do?
I think planning the week is a big thing for me, because I can then go, right, let's say, I don't know, I need to do, I don't know, 5 posts on LinkedIn this week. Yep. Okay. What does that look like? Okay, it's 1 a day. Okay, right, Monday, right, shit, I can't do it because I'm so busy. Okay, well, let's do 2 on Tuesday because to make up for that. And I suppose that's where that would work for me, because all of a sudden, like today, I wrote down on I planned my day out today, and on the last bit it said do a LinkedIn post. So all of a sudden I've got to the end of the day and go, shit, I haven't done that. Yeah. Well, actually, now I know that I can do that later or tomorrow, and maybe make it at the top of the list rather than the bottom.
So yeah, there's a few really interesting points there. Really cool. I like that stuff, Joe. That's really good. So there's a few things. When we're setting ourselves up for doing new stuff, we have to manage our expectations, because as humans, we'll go, I don't know about you, I'll go, yeah, I'll do it every day and I'll do it 20 minutes. And then I'll post something on Instagram 7 times a day for the rest of my life, and I'll start tomorrow. And what happens is you do it for 1 day, and then the next day you miss a day, and then you get to 3 days down, you go, fuck it, I'm just not going to bother. And you do nothing. Okay. Whereas if I'd said to you, right, over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to post once every 3 days. So maybe post 5 times. And then I want you to get those 5 times done as soon as possible. You're more likely to then maybe do 6, 7 or 8 posts, for example. Or if you're training or if you're doing calls, whatever it might be, you have to manage your expectations around this. Okay. Because again, instant gratification. Well, I didn't get the success straight away. Fuck it. It doesn't work. I'll do something else. We do this for everything. We're not patient enough. So yeah, really good examples there, Joe, of stuff you can do. And exactly that will work. I would there's a good book called Eat the Frog, or if you have to eat an elephant, after you eat the frog, you do it first. You play first thing. So if your LinkedIn's your stumbling block, it becomes the first job you do of the day. And that then sets you up because you've actually done something that was quite hard and a bit awkward. And you're already going to be on top of the ball because you've done that thing there. So you've almost got a little bit of success to leapfrog you. See what I did there? I stole the frog thing. Okay.
I like it.
To echo on that, Ross, just a quick, because that's something that's been quite because I was listening to you then, Joe, saying that, so I, for myself, write down your non-negotiables every day. And
yeah, really good.
so for me, like there's content and things like that, certain things, and I have to get, and I get them done this, and I don't know if I get them the first thing. So like the first thing, and a bit like you said about Eat the Frog, I do it straight away. And the reason, what I've done, I kind of a little bit after chatting to Jonathan, really, it was kind of like, what things I have to do every day to move my business forward. So then if you do want to fuck about and watch Netflix later on in the evening, that's okay.
You've already done it.
Yeah. So what you'll end up doing when you start to plan stuff, and again, we'll do a session on properly planning, because what you'll end up doing is you'll end up having your perfect day, and then like Asher said, your non-negotiables. So your perfect day might be a list of 10 things across business and personal life. That's your perfect day. If I have an amazing day, I'll do all 10 of those things. I then have non-negotiables. So an example I use, my hour of power. So my perfect morning, if it's perfect, is I hot water and lemon. I stretch. I meditate. I stretch. I then journal. I plan and I read. So 6 things. Okay, and then I'll get in the water. 7 things. So whether it's in the bin or it's in the river, they're my 7 things. That's a perfect morning. My non-negotiables are hot water and lemon, journal, and water. Okay, they're the 3 things that I've not missed for the last 2 years. Okay. So you'll have some non-negotiables, and again, you'll all come up with variations of these, but they are the things that you start to look at. They'll become non-negotiables. But again, that'll come with as we start to plan. Anybody else got anything else on those? Before we move on, I'll give you some examples. Go on, Jenny.
I guess I just started planning, and it's really helped. I guess I plan.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I actually do work now rather than fuck all.
There's a great one. Yeah, and then you go, I can't believe that works. It's too simple. There's a really cool quote. I think it's Jim Rohn. He says, when should you start your year? When you finished it. When should you start your month? When you finished it. When should you start your week? When you finished it. When should you start your day? When you finished it. And he's talking about planning. Now, that's not to say that you sit every day and you plan it the next 365 days, but once a year, you should map out the big things you want to get done in a year. Okay. And you should map out what your month looks like. And when I talked about this in the journaling with you guys, and we'll get into it at some point, I'm sure, your goals will be linked together. So your day activities will be linked to your week goals, which will be linked to your monthly goals, which will be linked to your yearly goals, which will be linked to the next 5-year goals. Okay. And these are all things that you can start to, these are all versions of take a knee, reference, informed decisions, move forward. So for me then, when I talk about taking knee moments, journaling's a big one for me. I've talked about it before. We will talk about it again, and I'll get into this because this is something that we're talking about lots with our clients at the minute. Conversation, having really good conversations with people. So conversations like this, weekly, great opportunities to check in, and engagement with people that will challenge you on stuff, not just people that go, oh, yeah, that's great, Jenny, well done. You know, just say yes to everything. Or Joe, that's brilliant. Yeah, well done, Joe. Cool, yeah. And like not challenge you, like, why the fuck are you doing that, Joe? It makes no sense. You want people that are going to challenge you, and that's why these groups are really good. But you can do this across both business and personal. Now, again, I was talking about it today, and I've talked about it before. It's just life. You happen to work. There is no like work-life balance. Okay, what we're trying to do is just be the best version of ourselves across life. In life, we will work and we will have personal stuff. But if we try to be too contrasting in the different camps, those worlds will clash. Okay, they will clash, and you'll kind of get caught out. So just thinking about this then, anybody think that these things here might be something they'd like to pick up on or look at? By the way, planning I include in the journaling because I journal and plan together. But anybody looking at these and going, yeah, that looks like something I could get my head around.
I've just listed 5 things that I want to do by January next year.
Perfect. I love that. Really, really cool. Great. Becky, you've been quiet for a while, and Gavin, coming to you in a second.
Oh, I was having a coughing fit, so I unmuted myself. I do plan quite well, I think. I've got a spreadsheet that's 4 months ahead, and I've got a column of you need to do it in a bit. You need to do it quite soon. Please do it. And Becky's really got to do it today.
I like how you're polite with yourself. Please do it.
If I'm telling other people, there's another word involved.
Yeah. I was thinking that.
So is this business? Is this business or personal?
This is business. This
Okay.
is business. And every time I do something, I move it out of one column and into another. But saying that, after I listened to your module yesterday, I did get myself a journal and I have filled it in.
Good job.
So ready for tomorrow, in addition to my planning, I've already got my, right, this is what we've got to do. We've got to do it before 12 list as well. So I think the journaling had really helped me.
Excellent. Nice. I love that. Brilliant. Really, really good. And again, it just informs the decision making, but they work really well. So that exact model that you've got for your business there, Becky, there'll be a version of that you can do for your personal life. There will be a version. And if you are an absolute geek and you love the Excel, get all over it. Get all over it. 100%. Honestly, if it's your bag, don't be like, oh, maybe I'll try and do a stream of consciousness where just let the words come out. If you need bullet points and a stat line and Excel, get all over that shit. If it means you do it, find what works for you. But yeah, no, that's really good. I like that, Becky. What about you, Gav?
I'm a terrible planner. Like I don't map stuff out. I just I probably just hope it's going to happen, and then I'm surprised when it doesn't.
So again, look, there's lots of everyone. By the way, everyone's like that or been like that at some point. The good thing is that you're having success, relative success to maybe your potential, but you're having success. So any decisions that anybody makes off the back of this moving forward is only going to improve the situation. So don't worry about being a poor planner previously. If you improve by 1%, you've improved by 1%, that will inform better that you'll do better and be more successful moving forward. So don't worry about it. But yeah, there's a quote that I use in the journaling one. It's a Michael Jordan quote, and it's something like, some people want it to happen. Some people try for it to happen, and some people make it happen. And it's the make it happen people that we're interested in, because that involves the planning, that involves the reflection, that involves the stop, take a knee, what's going on, what have I got coming down the line, what do I need to deal with. That's the shit that we're interested in, because you're taking control moving forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Okay. So the next way that I like to sort of these Condor moments and check-ins is a thing called nav checks. So again, Joe will be like, fucking hell, I know all this. And again, I get my compass out. So Joe, how many steps in 100 meters?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's taking me back. 100 meters, 100.
Well, you've got shorter legs. You've got shorter legs.
I have got
shorter legs. It's about 65 steps for me. So when you're navving, okay, Joe's just going to nod away now. Get your compass out. Right, this is the direction I'm going to go in, and I've got my compass and I've got a bearing, and I'm looking at it. And what I'm going to do is I can see where I'm walking. I'm going to put my compass away, and then I'm going to walk for 100 meters, which is about 65 steps. Once I've done 100 meters, I've got a little bead on my jacket. It's a pace counter. When I move one bead, I've done 100 meters. Now I might stop if the weather's really bad at 100 meters and get my compass out to check again that I'm still going in the right direction. But if the weather's good, I might just go 1,000 meters and then I'll check. Now what happens is, the longer you leave your compass in your pocket, depends on your terrain, depending what's going on in life, depending on contact, depending on what's going on, your rate of travel and the direction you're traveling in may change. Now, if I check every 100 meters, because it's pitches outside and the clouds come in, I can't see shit. If I check every 100 meters, do we think the adjustments I have to make, will they be big or will they be small?
Smaller.
Small, okay. If the weather's still shit and it's claggy and it's dark, and I check after 1,000 meters, big or small?
Bigger.
Bigger again, okay. 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters. What's happening? How big are these changes going to have to be?
Bigger every time.
They're going to be really big, aren't they? Okay. And those who know me, I'm pretty chilled out. I remember taking some nods away training, and I properly lost my shit with some of these guys. So nods are basically recruits going through training. They call them nods because they're tired, and when they're tired, they nod their head. That's it. So we're out, we're doing a navigation. And they're pretty cocky. They're like, yeah, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to go. And they start going off. And I just remember being like, right, stop. and they started huffing and puffing. And I was like, fucking dial that right in now. I was like, right, where are we going? And one guy got his compass out and he was like, right, this is where I'm going. Right, okay. Have you checked that of anybody? He's like, no, I've got my compass. I don't need to check, I've got my compass. And what we did, Joe's like, it's disgusting. You need to have a nav check. You have somebody who you share this with. Okay, so Jenny, for example, you will have some goals for PT. They'll be yours, but who do you check in with those with?
My PT.
PT. Maybe share them with your wife as well. Somebody else is close to you. You might not. Okay, but we will share stuff with other people because they can then help us. What happened in this incident with this nod? He was holding his compass close to his weapon, and the metal from his weapon meant that his compass wasn't true north, and he was going off in the wrong direction. But he kept complaining about it. I could have punched him in his face, but obviously I didn't. But what we did was we got lads to check in. So you have a check nav. So not only do you check as often as possible, you then have somebody check in with you as well. Oh, it doesn't take a lot. Yeah, check nav. Yeah, let me go compass out. Yeah, go in the right direction. Now, what this happens is for you guys, just thinking of that example there and what we just said about Jenny, can anyone think of how this could fit in with what they're doing right now or who they could speak to?
Yeah, well, I've started learning Polish, so I'm trying to get my daughter basically to do extra studying at school. So get her to nav check with my Polish on Duolingo, and then I can check her stuff too.
Just to add a little bit of context to this, Mark's wife's Polish. It's not like he's just randomly learning Polish, like his wife's Polish. So now you can understand when she's
also
saying to you. Yeah.
Like, whenever
I thought that was your niche.
As well.
Whenever kids are being shouted at least I'll understand what they've done.
There you go. But that's perfect. So you're the your daughter is then the nav check for you on that one. Brilliant. Yeah. Anybody else got anything?
My dad especially is like my not punching bag. That's the wrong phrase, but he's the one that, you know, I'm doing this. What do you think?
Yeah.
Sounding board.
Sounding board,
right frame.
He'll give you honest feedback.
He does, to be fair. He is. My dad's quite not a negative. He's sensible. He's more of a, right, you go to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday type of person. So dreaming big is you don't go to my dad. But if I do dream big, he'll go, okay, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And that's what you need sometimes, isn't it? You need someone to, when you've got this idea in your head, you think, oh, yeah, I'm going to go for it. And then he goes, okay, well, this is something you need to consider, this. And he kind of put me back on the feet on the ground. Let's think about this sensibly. He's more.
And that'll be, and again, only you can judge that, but you'll play around with how much, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but how much time and energy you give to that, because some people won't get it, and that's fine. So you can take the advice and the good stuff that he's offering, but then also surround yourself with people like, yeah, Joe, go over that. That's a great idea. Have you thought about this? Do you know what I mean? So that's a really good example. Anybody else then got any or scenarios in their life that they think they could do with a bit more of a nav check? Okay, let's flip the script. Do you guys check your KPIs at work?
Ish.
Not massively.
I reckon I checked the wrong KPIs.
I think I need to sit down. All right. So how do you know if you're doing well then?
Well, it's easy at the minute for me. It's not. So it's very easy to know it's not.
Okay.
Good.
But how do we, okay, so apart from Mark, who's it's easier because of his situation, how do we know if we're doing the right stuff or not?
No, but with all due respect, just want to jump into that, Ross. Mark, how do you know if it's not good if you're not? I don't understand that.
Well, basically, because I'm not getting the sales, I'm not getting the inquiries, I'm not getting all of the things that I need to have a successful business.
No, okay, I understand what you're saying, but what I mean by that is like, so just only because.
Do you know why?
And you know, I really, my son's here looking at you like, what are you on about? But like, I absolutely, you know that I really like you and we've worked together, and so. But one thing that I notice when it comes up with you is you say stuff which is quite like a defect. It's like a deflective sentence. And just quickly with that, what Ross has just said, I'm just for everyone as well. If you're saying, well, you know, it's not performing, but you're not checking KPIs, you don't know if it is. I mean, it probably isn't, but how do you know? the whole idea is measuring a yardstick. So I don't, you've got to be able to know.
And then if it's just to carry on, if you know that it's not performing, the reason you check your KPIs is to work out why it's not performing. So I want to know when I've got stuff wrong. I want to know, and I want to know as quick as possible, because I can then change it.
But it's just snowball.
Absolutely. No, look, and this is the thing. It's easier to track this from a business perspective, because we've got targets. And by the way, when I say this, you should all have these. You should have targets. You should have like budgets, goals, like money in, money out. You should have all this mapped out. Okay, you should be able to work out and tell me how you're going to get there as well. Now, the KPIs and the checking-in points are to see if it's performing. If it's not performing, that then informs decisions you make as a business moving forward to change. The exact same can be said about the other stuff away from work. So health and fitness, psychological well-being, family and relationships, personal development, all that stuff of the 6 dimensions, because the other 2, career and wealth, are pretty much tied in with your work. But are you checking in on those? So if you're worried about your fitness, for example, when's the last time you tested that out? What are you doing about it? If there's a bit of a niggle around the relationship you've built up with your eldest son because you've been bickering the last couple of years, do you need to sort that shit out? How do you measure if it's working or not? Okay. Now, I'm not saying I have the answers to all of these right now, but what we need to be prepared to do is we need to be prepared to stop and check that we're going in the right direction. Okay. And like I said, go on.
As I said, I can suspect that I feel in a similar place to Mark when it comes to, if we're talking about, leads, for example, and let's face it, the number one reason we're all on this course tends to be like lead gen, is that, if let's say we've chosen a niche and, you're posting on Facebook, LinkedIn or whatever, then actually the nav check on that, on the face of it, feels really difficult, because it feels like often you may not get feedback until you've been doing it for like weeks or months. And so it's quite hard to be sort of persistent and consistent with it. And so that's a real struggle.
No, I get that. And it could be a bit demoralizing because you're not getting the results coming in. But remember what I said at the beginning about being patient about this stuff. Go on, Ash, what do you want to say?
No, just because that's like, because I had a question for you as well about that, but I will just quickly answer what you were saying there, Gav, is where you will have the hardest thing, and I this took me ages to figure this out, is you've got to get really cozy with your data on analytics, for social, because the end result is, yes, the leads are going to come, but for ages it's going to there is movement and growth happening there. If you
just don't see
on that and Dan will be like, if you click on the analytics, that's where the growth is. And that's where I was literally thinking this today. I'm sending obviously bath. I was thinking this today, that you've got it can take up to 6 months before you see real payoff from a social post, real payoff. But the payoff starts instantly if you're willing to jump in and start analyzing the actual KPIs of the post, because you'll be able to see, okay, I got 100 impressions. Can the next one got 102? The next one got 104. So I think that it's maybe measuring the wrong KPI. I'm not saying for anyone, but it's the wrong KPIs. And I was so guilty for this, thinking like, post a YouTube video and, oh my gosh, I suck. I've only got X amount of views and I'm not monetized yet. Whereas actually when I dived into the data, it was like, holy shit, like this is a really successful channel, and where it was 6 months ago to where it is now is unbelievably crazy. And I avoided that. So I'd highly recommend you just kind of look at what are the right KPIs. And if you want to know those, you can ask me, like, just send me a message or whatever. I'm quite cool.
Yeah. And it's that stuff there. And again, you then pick the time as well to analyze the information. So like, I almost had like a little heart attack, Mark, when you're like, I check my followers and my stuff every morning. I'd be like, I'd be so depressed if I did that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, it was on 26. I was on, who disliked me in 20 minutes? What have I done wrong?
Well, so followers, you shouldn't track any of those things. Like there's something that shouldn't even be tracked. So followers, shares, likes, comments, like you shouldn't really track with you guys with their KPIs. You shouldn't track things that are outside of your control. You should be, in my opinion, from social, you should be tracking everything inside your control. So retention, you can control retention. You can control how the edit looks. You can control how better you come across on camera. They're all things in your control, as opposed to likes, shares, and follows. Because sometimes, otherwise, you just get yourself very sad, as you said.
So it's like I've mentioned it before. I think touch points. It can take like 7. Well, it does take between 7 and 11 times for someone to see what you're posting and you and what you're all about before someone will even engage you. So that first time, that second time, that third time, that fourth time, up to the 7th, you're not going to see anything. But that 7th time that someone sees it, they'll think, right, now's the time because I've seen it and it's making sense now to me and it's resonating and it's hit those psychological touch points. So you're not going to see anything for the first 6 months, even a year. But
absolutely, and
it's still working. You just don't see it.
Also, don't see it. But just on that, and I know I just wanted to sorry, but just on that, you'll never see it because it's always the new normal. That's something I would advise.
Just change the goalposts.
Yeah, like it's the only. Do you know when I see it? When I sat down with my accountant and moaned about how much money I'd made, and then he looked at the amount how much he'd made compared to last year, and then it was like, oh okay,
shut up.
But you know, but I mean, don't mean that in a bag, but that's the problem is. Like you are, there's never enough leads. Every day my wife gets annoyed with me because I go, there's not enough people in the diary. I need more people in the diary. You'll never have enough. It's like a weird, to the point where I have put a post up about me getting fat and losing my weight. And I said to my wife yesterday, I went, why did you never tell me that I got fat like that? I put on this weight. And she was like, I didn't see it because you're with it every day.
You're in it. Yeah.
That's she said, I didn't see it. She said, you look great to me. And then you put that and I was like, oh, wow. It's exactly the same with work and leads, and it'll never be enough. So if you're always chasing leads, you'll never have enough leads. I can promise you can be the best business in the world, and you'll never have enough. So it's like a bit with your nav checks and goals.
Yeah,
like
and
you've got to reposition it.
Absolutely. And look, this is just one area of your business stroke life stroke personal life. That's just one area. You know, there'll be other areas that you can focus attention to, which will bring you success, which will propel you forward and keep you motivated and keep you excited to do stuff. Again, going back to,
you've got number one fan, by the way. My son is just going crazy in the bath because he wanted to carry on watching. He's literally going crazy. I was like, are you sure?
Absolutely. So yeah, so
no need for Peppa Pig anymore. Just get Ross on.
Yeah.
Sign up, Ash. You'll get an extra 10% on your commission.
Good
idea.
That's
the thing. We'll end up focusing on the negative stuff. So there'll be other stuff that we can focus time and energy into, and the nav checks are ways of doing that. So just to kind of wrap it up, guys, because I know we're running out of time. So when it comes to nav checks, then, you know, journaling and planning are fantastic. Okay. And for example, for me, they're like the best thing you can do. So I've reflected on yesterday. It's going to inform some decisions I've made today. I noticed something went wrong yesterday. I'm going to correct it for today. Straight away, I've made this. It's informed my decision. Yesterday, I dropped the ball. Today, I'm aware of it. I'm picking the ball back up. I'm going again. Now, the more often you do that, the more often you take a knee, the more often you nav check, you understand, am I going in the right direction? Yes, I am. Carry on. No, I'm not. Okay, let's self-arrest. Let's correct. Okay. Now, depending on how long you leave it, so you check in. So if you go back to the KPIs for business, if you only did your KPI checks once a year or every 6 months, all of a sudden the correction you have to make is fucking ridiculous. You've got to try and correct 6 months of not doing something or 12 months of doing the wrong thing. Okay. The more you check in and the more frequent you do it, the corrections will be smaller. They'll just be easier to do. And what will happen is it'll just become part of your daily routine. So in the morning, I journal and I plan, and that informs it. And look, I may never go back to my journal again. So for example, my planner, and again, this is part of my power hour, I will map out, like, you can't see it because of the color of the pen, but I will map out like pretty much every hour of the day, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'll just write next to it what my intentions are for that hour. Work block, presentation, training, snooze. It's in my diary. I'm doing it. Okay.
Google's good for it as well. Google Calendar. If you want to do
So whatever it looks like, I've written it down in the diary for my day. I may never reference that diary again for the rest of the day. But all I've done in my brain has gone, right, I've reflected on yesterday and I've informed my decisions for today. These are my plans. I may then get distracted by stuff, but the back of my mind still going, remember what you wrote down in your planner. Okay, I might write it on my whiteboard or something might pop up as a reminder. But I'm helping myself here. I'm giving myself the best opportunity. And I do that first thing in the morning. Regular check-ins. You might have some clients that you check in with once a week. Ash, you'll have times when you check in with clients. Okay, you won't be checking in them every day. You'll be checking them maybe on Monday or Friday or twice a week or twice a month. You'll have your own way of doing it, but it's a regular thing. Okay, it's a regular thing. You may as well, and depending on what's happening in your life and what area you're concentrating on, you may have to lean into it a bit harder. You may have to do it a bit more than feels comfortable, and then it will settle down and you'll have to do it less. Okay, and these are all things that we shouldn't be worried about. All we need to be reminding ourselves is, why are we doing this? To what end? And that takes it back to what success looks like, takes it back to what that achievement looks like for you guys. Okay, and the last two things here: who are you checking in with, and who do you need to share with? Okay, so checking in with people might be an accountability partner, might be somebody in this group. We're always encouraging you guys to share stuff and to ask questions, to bring stuff to the group. Okay, because we're the accountability in here. Okay, it's what we do with our clients as well. We have a little group. It's all about the accountability. You might have a buddy, you might have a training partner. Okay, anyone who trains regularly knows there's a reason that you pay for a PT instructor. It's hard, it's horrible to train on your own. Get someone to train you, it's easier. All right, find somebody who can hold you accountable for the stuff that you're doing. It might be your partner. Okay, it might be your kids. Kids are great. Kids don't forget shit. All right, they're brilliant at that stuff. Okay, and then who do you need to share this stuff with? And this is really important. And I kind of simplified it earlier today when I was talking about it with this client. I just said, you need to share this stuff with the people who the outcome will affect. So, and that's the only people you need to share it with, okay? Unless it's an accountability partner. So you'll share it with your wife or your husband or your partner or your kids or a business partner or a friend, but only if, as a result of the stuff you're going to do, they reap the benefits as well, okay? Other than that, you don't really need to share it with other people. Now, you might go, well, actually, I need to post it on social media to hold me accountable. Fine, whatever works for you, okay? But there will be people that you'll have good conversations with and you'll share that stuff with and be like, right, sharing this with you because it's important. Because, so for example, I'll share stuff with my wife and kids, because if it means that the action I'm going to take is going to impact what's going to happen in the future, these guys need to be part of it, okay? Because that's around my definition of success and what it looks like. You will all have people in your life that you can share this stuff with from that perspective. You'll also have people who can help you check in on that stuff as well. All right. So all I want you to have a think about, guys, and this is the last thing to kind of go away with, is reflecting back on the first question I asked you, a bit of an integrity shout. How's it all going? Does anybody want to change their answer from the beginning?
Well, I'm making progress in my own mind.
There you go. Okay. Anyone else changing theirs? Good. I like that. Bit of an integrity shout. Okay. So some actions from you then, guys. Establish the changes that are needed. Okay. Allocate time to your take and e moments and allocate time to nav checks. Now, I've given you some examples of how you can do this. Has anybody sat there and gone, right, there's something there, this has just resonated with me, I'm going to start this tomorrow or tonight? Has anyone seen something that goes, yeah, I'm going to do that? Joe's nodding away. Joe gets compass out and I'm going to find him gallivanting across the hills.
Making notes here. So yeah.
Go. So Joe, what are you going to do?
I did used to try. I tried journaling before. I was in the wrong state of mind, so I'm going to try it again because I've heard nothing but positive things on it. So I'm just building it into my morning routine now, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a big takeaway.
I like
for me.
that. What are you going to check in on? What are you going to check in on? Not to pry too much, but are there going to be some particular things you go, do you know what I could do with improving that area of my life a little bit? I'm going to check in on that.
For me personally, it's the getting back into the gym routine for me. Okay. Because I've been away 10 days on holiday, and I'll start Monday. And then Monday's coming.
Everyone starts Monday. Next Monday.
It's Tuesday, and now I'm starting tomorrow. So we're going to do it. So that's
okay. So brilliant. I like that. So all of you as well. You also just need to check in with your significant others, because when I asked you at the beginning, how do we know that they all still love you? None of you were able to go, I know. So just a bit of yeah, maybe all of you should check in with them. Anybody else then got some other stuff they might do or looking to go away and do?
Actually going to ask for help from Gavin and Jenny.
Nice.
Nav checks, but Jenny, you seem to be doing good on your exercise at the minute and keeping yourself going on that way. Right, I've been a lazy bastard basically since I got COVID in January. So all the weight that I had lost and actually got into shirts I hadn't fitted into in probably several years fitted me, and now I need to buy larger ones again. All right,
well,
so
look, throw the thing that you want to do for Jenny and Gav, throw it in the group, because there'll be other people that can help out as well. But yeah, they're good. Find those people, because other people will be able to offer their bits in as well. And like I said, anybody here who's got stuff that they need accountability or people to check in with, throw it into the group between Ash and Dan and I. We will make sure we get after that as well. Becky, what about you?
Well, I'm gonna...
Sorry, just before you carry on, have you got a small hippopotamus in your house? Because it looked like it appeared on camera. Like it was a dinosaur appeared on your lap.
Yeah, he's a lovely little star. Well, he's not little, is he? He's a lovely blue star. But yeah, he's about 5 stone. It's massive.
That's not true. That thing that came on there was like 35 stone. It was huge. Right, so what were you going to do then?
I'm going to well, I've only started my journey today, but I'm going to continue that and check in terms of looking at what I've done for the day and what I've achieved, and then planning the next day. Whereas, as I said, I'm good at planning, but not necessarily the nitty-gritty in the days. So
okay, so just on that, and again, everyone will be able to resonate with this, hopefully. What's it about the nitty-gritty? What part of that is it? Is it that you get distracted on social media? Is it that I don't know, something happens regularly? Like, what is it? What's the nitty-gritty?
If I don't want to do it, I'll really procrastinate over it.
Right,
and
okay.
then it will get to a point where I've just got to do it, and then I'm all up in the air because I've got 10 cases to finish off and
start flapping.
I haven't done the compliance on them.
It's
I get the
always
cases in, but I don't do the compliance. So my new regime is to get the compliance done at the same time as getting the cases in.
So it's always the things that we need to do that we procrastinate over, the most important things that we know we need to do that we avoid doing.
But we forget. We forget. We'll do it once. And be like, oh my God, why do I do this all the time? And then we'll forget. And then we'll just go back to the constant, I'll just do it after. It's yeah. So, and again, really, really good example of that. That's a really good example. So yeah, just remind yourself. So again, you can talk about this when you journal, you can plan it in. And again, these are all informed decisions. Really, really good. Anybody else then? And before we kind of wrap up.
One of the things that I do is like look at what I want to achieve and think that it's so massive that, you know, it's impossible. And then, you know, I don't make any progress on it. So, you know, the whole idea of just being prepared to accept some small steps. And, you know, if I plan, you know, if I have a 12-month plan or whatever, and I can break that down into something that's a bit more achievable over the next 7 days, for example, then and review that after 7 days, and Condor moment, like at least be pleased that I did that for that week. It's going to make me want to do it for week 2, right? So I think
you'll be like, I'm motivated to make sure I crack on for the second week. Now, to put you on the spot, have you done my modules?
Some, not.
Okay, so when you define what success looks like, I'm only referencing this because this will go for everybody. What I get you to talk about is I get you to talk about the big goal, kind of 5 years down the line, 3 to 5 years down the line. Then I get you to talk about the year goal, and then the month, the week, the day, and they should all be linked. So like you just said there, you can look at the big thing. If you just look at the big thing, you go, fuck, that's too big, I can't do that. But actually, when you reverse engineer the process, you should be able to do something every day. So for example, my 5-year goal might be to have a house in Spain. Okay, so in order to have a house in Spain, I need to earn X amount of money in 5 years, which means at the end of year 1, I've got to earn X amount of money, which means at the end of 6 months, I need to earn X amount of money, which means at the end of this month, I need to have earned X amount of money, which means this week, I need to have earned this amount of money. Today, I need to earn some money. Do you know what I mean? I've reversed, it's a very simplified way, but I've reverse engineered all the way back to something I can do today. And when you do that, and this goes for everybody, and this is why it's so important to do. When you do this, it basically says no matter how distracted you are or how busy you think you are, or you're just not getting shit done, there's always at least one thing you can do that day that will move the needle closer towards that big picture of success. Because it's just the small thing that you do on the daily that allows you to get to your week goal. And by doing that week goal, you're closer to your month goal. And by doing that month goal, you're closer to your year goal. And by doing that year goal, you're closer to the big goal. Okay. Same with your business KPIs. Okay. So next time when we ask you about KPIs, you'll be like, so I don't have a heart attack. You'll be like, yeah, I do that. Absolutely. All over that shit, Ross. Because otherwise I'm going to have a heart attack. You guys need to be doing that shit, but for business and for your personal life. Okay. Guys, any questions or anything? And we can, I'll let you go because I'll talk all night about this shit.
I think
Thank you.
I think Joe had a question from the group, about the Facebook stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've started doing I think I've just finished week 2, so I've just started to implement. I've done all my Facebook cleaning up, got it going. Same with LinkedIn. Started adding people on LinkedIn, and I think it's great. I feel at ease adding people on LinkedIn for my niche. When it comes to Facebook, I'm a bit more sort of reserved, thinking, shit, oh, I don't know Joe Blogs. Right? Is he going to accept me? And I remember on the video you're saying, Dan, like, oh, 50%, is it 50% will probably accept? Yeah. It's just that I'm just getting a little bit of a fanny. I just need to get over it, man up, and just start adding. But I just wanted to see, other people feel like that when it came to Facebook? How did they get over
Anybody
it?
who says no, anybody who says no is lying to you. They're all lying, okay? Because I felt like that. Everybody feels like it. Sorry to jump in, anybody. The ego says everyone cares. They don't. Just fucking add them. Right? Yeah. Just get on with it.
Okay.
That's
all I needed to hear, I think.
If they've got a problem with being requested, they're not going to accept.
Yeah.
That's it. If they are,
don't take it personal as well if they don't.
I don't know if you have
that. Can't believe they didn't.
If you feel like there's a moment, I know with me when I do it, there's that moment where you get them, and I'm sure Dan, you must have it because I know it's part of your strategy. When someone says hi, they accept you, but they say hi, how do I know you? Oh fuck, that's the worst. That's the worst thing ever. You say you want to go, you don't know me, I'm just trying to tell you something.
No, I'm trying to help your life. I'm trying to
help your life by opening your wallet and take some money to help you. No, it's fine. Everyone feels like that. I feel like that.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, like everyone says, you'll get over it after.
Yeah. And if they don't get over it, it's their issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, just don't worry about it.
All right, Sam, that's good. It's weird, isn't it? Like LinkedIn, it's a fucking social media platform. I'm there, like LinkedIn, Facebook, and so I'm like, oh yeah, add. Oh my god, it's personal on Facebook. Shit.
Yeah,
it has changed though. So like, with all honesty, like it is different. Like, so even though it wasn't, so like LinkedIn is like what Facebook was. If you think back to Facebook, maybe like 8 years ago, I'd be walking around going, I've got like 7,000 friends. I know you can't have that many, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, it'd be like, because you just had everybody, because everyone did. And then we started realizing how stupid an idea that is for our own personal security and stuff. So we don't do that. So there is a difference. So you're not wrong when you feel that way. Like, it's a cultural society thing of like LinkedIn, but LinkedIn's going that way as well now. Like,
yeah, definitely.
LinkedIn,
there's so much potential for it.
Yeah, LinkedIn definitely though are like, I noticed, I don't know about you, Dan, but I've definitely noticed like LinkedIn people are, I'll get a few questions, or now they've swapped it with the creators that you can just follow. It makes it a lot harder to try and just get people.
Because there's a lot of LinkedIn's got a big problem at the minute with a lot of spam accounts, which are just purely to spam people, and so people are more questionable about that. And yeah, like you say, Facebook is more personal these days, but it's just about thinking of it as a business. It's a personal account. As far as Facebook is concerned, but you're using it for a business, and so it's that mindset shift, I think. And people are starting to appreciate that, and if you've got your profile optimized and you're going out after your niche, and your profile has got it on there that you help those people get them to where they need to be, and they see that and they think, yeah, I might get some value from that. If not, they won't accept them. Fair enough, but yeah, you've just got to give as much opportunity as you can by doing what we say in the program.
Cool, guys. Well, look, if anyone's got any questions around the stuff we've spoke about tonight or anything else, tag us, stick the questions on the group. That's what it's there for. And if you do need a hand with being a bit more accountable for some of the stuff we talked about tonight, get it on the group, okay? And people in there will be able to help you about it. Right?
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Nice one. Thank you very much.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
All right, guys.
Cheers, Ross.
Good.
Cheers, guys. Take it easy. Bye.